We didn't have a good intro. We needed an intro.
I know. We do need an intro. Hello. Welcome to Spooky Okie.
I'm Catherine.
I'm Madison.
And this is where we tell ghost stories and true crime stories. So today is our true crime episode.
Ooh. I'm so excited.
We got some good cases for y'all today. They're crazy.
Also, you guys aren't even going to have to wait for this episode because it is 5:47 p.m. and this episode's supposed to come out at midnight.
We're not procrastinating at all. It's fine.
I got here to Catherine's house at 3 o'clock. We were going to record at 3 o'clock.
Neither one of us had our notes done.
No. And I was like, I just need to add a couple of things real fast if you don't mind. And she was like, that's fine. I'm not totally done either. And then we sat there and talked. Like, we had our laptops out and we would, like, write a sentence maybe and then be like, so, blah, 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 blah. And just talk to each other. And then we'd be like, oh, we have to get back to work. And then write another sentence and then, like, say something else.
Man, I need some caffeine.
I know. I was like, I think I'm going to go to Starbucks after we're done recording.
And I was like, yeah, me too.
And then we just looked at each other and we were like, do you want to go now?
Let's go to Starbucks.
So we went to Starbucks while we were supposed to do our notes.
Yeah, we needed to write notes. We got Starbucks instead.
We needed caffeine so we'd be productive.
It was fuel for the notes.
It was, and it only took us 3 hours to finish our notes once I got here.
Only. We're fine.
All right, I guess we should get started. Oh, wait! Before we get started, I have a surprise to show you.
Okay.
She has no idea. I've been here for 3 hours, and I've been, like, hiding it in my bag. Look what came in the mail today. First, I don't know what to show you first.
Oh my gosh.
First, I have a video camera.
Ooh.
Because, you guys, we're going to start actually, like, videoing our investigations.
Oh my gosh, this is going to be so cool.
And I'm so excited. I think you guys are going to love it. Also, I should have talked to you before we started recording. I feel like we should make our investigation videos our Patreon content.
I think so too.
So, if you guys want to see our investigation, want to see the video of it, because I'm telling you, watching those rods move is crazy.
It's super crazy.
It's insane. So, if you would like access to our video content of our investigations,
see all the spooky fun.
yes, become a Patreon donor.
Yeah.
Is that what it's?
Donor. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Support us on Patreon.
Support us on Patreon.
For a very low amount. We're not asking for a lot.
Do we even have a set amount?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Donate something.
Donate something.
And you can watch our investigations. So, anyway, look at this video camera. I know you guys can't see, but look at this, Catherine.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, I'm pulling it out, and it looks so fancy
Oh
and so nice.
It looks so professional.
I know, it has like a tiny like mini tripod, but I'll bring like a better one.
Actual tripod.
Look at this mic that goes on top.
Dang.
We're gonna be so fancy.
Super
So
fancy.
excited. And then, that's not all though. That is
Okay.
not all. So there's
And that's
that.
not all, folks. If you
That's
call right
not
now.
I didn't tell you I was getting this one. But
Okay.
I thought it would be fun.
Okay.
I got
It's not a Ouija board, is it?
No,
Okay.
no.
Thank goodness.
the little cat balls that light up, but we can use them for ghosts.
Yes.
So
Oh
there's
my
4 of
gosh.
them.
Okay.
Also,
I'm gonna be so freaked out if they go off.
this like came with something I ordered, and I was so excited because it's like, oh, it's a flashlight, and I thought it was one of the good ghosty ones.
Uh-huh.
It's not.
Oh,
it's a regular
okay.
flashlight, but it has these little like
Oh, that's fancy.
screwdriver head things in it.
That's
so
useful.
like that's cool. I mean, I didn't buy it; it just came with something else. But I was so excited because I thought it was like the good ghost hunting flashlight, and it's not.
I was also thinking about, before we go to our next location, I guess I can talk about this on the podcast, getting those like motion sensor lights.
That would be good.
Yeah, from
Okay.
like Lowe's.
Yeah. We should do that. And then the most exciting
Oh my gosh.
part, I got a spirit box.
Oh my gosh.
So exciting. So I got a spirit box, and it also came with this little like speaker thing.
I think I'm sweating.
Okay, I'm gonna turn it on. We're not gonna ask any questions or leave it on. I just want you to
No.
hear how it
Yeah.
sounds.
Okay.
Because we're not trying to find ghosts in your house. That would be spooky.
Yeah, I don't want to find any
So,
ghosts in my house.
Turning it on. Hear that?
Oh my gosh.
But then also, it comes with this like cool little speaker thing. I promise it works. Oh, I have to turn the speaker on. Okay.
Oh my gosh.
Isn't that cool?
That is super cool.
Okay.
Oh my gosh.
I'm turning it off before we hear any ghosts because
Yeah,
I don't want
wanna
to hear any ghosts in your house.
Yeah, please do.
Okay, it's off. But
Yeah.
We're going to use that on our
crazy.
investigation,
Oh
so
my
we'll be able
gosh.
to get some, like, real-time EVPs.
Oh my gosh.
Instead of having to go back and listen later, which will, like, open up a whole new... I'm spooked already, but it's going to be so exciting. So anyway, those came in, and I didn't tell you those came in because I wanted to tell you on the podcast.
Well, you can probably see on the table. Those are our new wireless
I didn't even
mics.
notice, and I've been sitting here by them for 3 hours.
She's been sitting right in front of them.
I have. Oh my goodness.
So those are our new mics.
So our audio for our investigations will also be better.
Hopefully.
Yeah, we hope. We don't know anything about this, obviously.
We haven't tried them out, but hopefully they're also going to be over the ear. So it should
be more consistent.
It should be more consistent in the sound, at least, even if it's not better quality. It shouldn't cut in and out as much.
Yeah. So we're pretty excited. We're really trying to make it better for you guys.
Yes. We're trying to up our game.
We really are. We're trying. So, I had to move my mic. Should we go ahead and get started with our true crime stories?
Yes.
I'm so excited. We have had to, like, stop ourselves from telling each other about our stories.
Okay, pause real quick because I'm going to shut my blinds if I want to tell spooky stories.
Okay. Are your doors locked too?
Yes.
Okay, great. We're scaring ourselves already.
Okay, got everything locked and curtains shut and all that.
Had to take our precautions because we would scare ourselves.
Yeah.
So,
If I saw a person's face in the window, I think I might need to go to the bathroom.
yeah. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and get us started with our true crime story.
Ooh, I'm so excited.
Ooh, me too. Okay, so we've both been, like, wanting to tell each other about these stories the whole time we've been doing notes, and we'll, like, say one little thing and be like, oh, I can't tell you, I have to wait. And so we're both, like, really excited to hear each other's stories.
I'm so excited.
Apparently they're just all over the place. Catherine's is, like, all over the place location-wise, and mine is just all over the place, like, mentally. It's just a lot, so it should be a pretty crazy episode.
Should be good.
Hope you guys enjoy. All right, I'm going to be talking about the Jamison Family Disappearance.
All right.
So I'm pretty excited. Before I get started, my sources are Wikipedia, allthat'sinteresting.com, BuzzFeed Unsolved, Liberty Voice, The Oklahoman, Mysterious Universe, and That's Why We Drink. They did an episode on it, so I got a little bit of my information from that. So I'm sure you've heard about this because it was on And That's Why We Drink, but it was like episode 50. So if you guys want to go listen to that, it's also really, really great. Christine tells about the story, and she does a great job, of course.
Yeah,
so,
we're fans of that show.
We're big fans. So I'm sure you've heard it, but also it was like episode 50, and they're on like 300 and something.
Yeah,
so
and I'm like on
200
something, I think. So I've probably forgotten.
Probably, yeah. So this story takes place in October of 2009.
Okay.
So the Jamison family consists of Bobby Dale Jamison, who's 44, his wife Sherry Lynn Leanne Jamison, who's 40, and their 6-year-old daughter Madison Stormy Star Jamison.
Stormy Star.
Yeah.
I like it.
Madison with a Y.
Madison
Stormy
with a Y.
Star Jamison.
Okay.
So, quite a name.
It is.
They lived in Eufaula, Oklahoma.
Okay.
And on October 8th, 2009, the family got in their truck to go and look at a 40-acre plot of land they were considering buying in Red Oak, Oklahoma, which is about 30 miles from their home in Eufaula.
Okay.
They were planning on living in a storage container on the land.
All right.
Like a shipping container.
Right. Which is not as weird
that's
as that
not,
sounds.
Yeah. That's not that unusual. Yeah. There's actually some really pretty cool, like, shipping container houses. Like,
yeah, they're really cool, and they're actually really good in terms of keeping in heat and cool.
Yeah,
and, yeah. They're actually really, like, energy efficient.
I'm not gonna lie, I've looked at how much they cost because I'm like, that would be cool. I would do it.
And
I would
they're
renovate
supposed
it.
to last for, like, a really, really long time.
Yeah. So, anyway, it sounds a little crazy when you just read it, but it's not that unusual.
It's not that unusual.
I guess we should, like, put that out there. It's not it's not like a red flag.
It's not like the most normal thing, but it's not a red flag.
Right. So that day, they were seen by a man who lived in the mountains in southeastern Oklahoma. He confirmed that the family was alone when he saw them, but this was the last time that they were seen.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Okay.
So 8 days later, the family's truck was found on a well site near Red Oak, but the Jamisons were nowhere to be found. Inside the truck, investigators found the family's coats, Bobby's wallet, Sherilyn's purse, a GPS, Bobby's cell phone, $32,000 cash stashed under the driver's seat.
Oh my gosh.
and their pet dog, Maisie, who was malnourished but alive.
Okay.
She was in there for 8 days.
Oh, poor thing.
Yeah.
Poor baby.
And she went to live with, I think it was Bobby's mom. So, like, she lived. She survived it. I feel like I need to, like, put that out there immediately so nobody panics. The dog was okay. She was malnourished and dehydrated, but she was alive and she was okay. And she went to a home. So, one thing that was not found in the truck, however, was Sherry Lynn's gun. It was missing.
Okay.
She had a pistol. On Bobby's cell phone, there was a picture taken of Madison the day before they disappeared. Police tracked the GPS coordinates to an area farther up a nearby hill, and they were able to find the location of the picture as well as footprints from the family. However, this didn't really give them any more information. Like, they would have, even if they went there and took a picture, they had to go back to the truck because the phone was found in the truck. So, like, they knew they had been there at some point, but didn't really give them much info. But one thing to note about the picture is that Madison had her arms crossed and was looking off to the side, looking just like a little maybe uneasy or grumpy or something, like not. And apparently this was out of the ordinary for her. Family members stated that this was really strange for her because she loved having her picture taken. And she was like always all smiles, like
for the camera,
she loved
like
that.
ready to cheese up for the camera.
So they seemed to think that someone else may have been there, making her uncomfortable. Because she was like looking off to the side, like
her attention, like she couldn't focus on the camera, she was focused on something else.
Okay. Granted, she was 6 years old,
so 6-year-old also have
she could have been tired, she could have been grumpy, she could have not wanted to take a picture then, you know.
And what time of year was this?
October.
Okay.
Yeah.
So depending on the day, it could have either been too cold or too hot. And
exactly.
She had been walking and she was cranky.
Exactly. So. Yeah. 6-year-olds get grumpy. So not saying that's like necessarily a red flag, but the family members seem to be like, oh, something's off about that. That's not normal for her.
Yeah.
So.
Okay.
So anyway, that's kind of all that came from that though. Back at the truck, there was no sign of a struggle, but also no indication of where the family was or why they would leave everything, including their dog. And the truck was locked, so somebody had locked it, left the dog, left the wallets, the purses, the coats, the cash, the cell phone, everything.
Wow. But they took the keys.
I believe so.
Okay.
I don't even know.
Okay.
Who knows?
Okay. All right.
But
sorry.
Yeah, I don't know. Anyway.
Didn't see that information.
Didn't see that. Didn't find that. They didn't say.
Okay.
They may have taken the keys. They didn't say they found the keys. I don't know. But local law enforcement organized an extensive search operation with over 300 people forming a large-scale air and ground search party.
Okay.
Dogs, horses and mules, ATVs, etc. Like the whole 9 yards. They searched the area for over 8 months, making this one of the most extensive manhunts in Oklahoma history.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a long time. They like really put all of their efforts into it. Yeah.
Wow.
However, there was no sign of the Jamison family.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was like hundreds of people over 8 months.
Oh my god.
And they didn't find even a sign of them. No trace.
Nothing. Yeah. Wow.
The case stalled for the next 4 years until on November 16th, 2013, some hunters stumbled upon partial skeletal remains of 3 bodies, 2 adults and 1 child, lying side by side face down in the dirt.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. They were discovered less than 3 miles from where the truck was found 4 years before.
What?
Strange, right? Like,
yeah.
They had hundreds of people for over 8 months. And the bodies turned up 3 miles away. Less than 3 miles. It was like 2.7 miles.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's weird.
It's weird. It's weird. And I don't know if, like, it said they were, like, face down, lying side by side. I don't know if that was, like, methodically laid out or it just happened to be, like, oh, they were side by side. But, like...
Right.
It just sounds a little bit like they were almost placed.
That sounds placed, yeah.
Why would they have not found that with hundreds of people looking for 8 months and it was not far away?
Yeah. That sounds...
It's a little questionable.
Placed,
And then on July 3rd, 2014, the remains were confirmed to be that of the Jamison family. It took them a long time because they were so decomposed and, like...
Yeah.
It was only partial remains. Like,
okay.
So there just wasn't a lot to go on. However, due to the state of decomposition, the cause of death could not be determined. The coroner did report finding a small hole in the back of Bobby's head, but couldn't say whether or not it was a bullet hole because of how
decomposed the body was.
And none of the other bones had any, like, holes or anything like that. So And I think they found the skulls for all three, it sounded like. And they didn't have holes.
Wow.
So,
okay.
This is when things start getting really weird.
Okay.
So, police began looking into the case again and discovered strange footage from the family's home security camera. This footage was from the day they left and shows the adults, Bobby and Sherry Lynn, acting strangely. Sheriff Israel Beecham stated that they seemed to be in a trance, walking back and forth like loading the car at least 30 to 40 times, changing clothes multiple times, not interacting with each other, just acting really weird. They would like take something to the car and load it up, and then they would take it back in the house, and they would bring it back out. They changed clothes multiple times. They were not interacting with each other, just like very zombie-like.
That is weird.
Yeah, and he said, I had seen in some articles, it was like, oh, they walked back and forth like dozens of times, but I saw like an actual video of him talking, and he said like 30 to 40 times.
Dang.
Yeah.
That's creepy. I got chills.
Right? It's weird. It's just so weird, and it gets so much weirder too.
And like home footage stuff like freaks me out. Like I see TikToks sometimes of like Ring doorbell videos of like people following them like to the front door of the house and then standing outside. Oh my gosh,
so creepy.
So creepy.
Yeah, and like I was able to find the footage, and I'm sure it's like not the best footage. I'm sure they got like better stuff because I couldn't really tell anything from it. It was just very like grainy and like almost spliced. Like it was just like you couldn't really consistently like see them walking there and then see them walking back. It was just like very choppy.
Gotcha.
But I'm sure that was just whatever somebody had found.
Right.
So Sheriff Beecham brought in a psychologist to analyze the footage, and the behavior was consistent with drug use. However, when searching the home and the vehicle, no evidence of drug use was found.
Okay.
Yeah. There were prescription pills and bottles found. However, Bobby suffered from severe back problems from a previous car accident, and Sherry Lynn's mom had stated that Sherry Lynn was bipolar and depressed, both of which could account for the prescriptions.
Right.
One detail that seemed to possibly support the drug theory was the large amount of cash found in the vehicle.
Yeah.
Neither Bobby nor Sherry Lynn were working at the time of their disappearance due to disabilities.
Okay.
So it was unclear where such a large amount of money could have come from.
Yeah.
Like $32,000 is a lot.
A lot of money.
Yeah. Neighbors also reported that the couple had both lost weight before their disappearance. So that could also indicate drug use.
Yeah.
I will say about the cash, like, if they were on disability, there's, like, a cap of how much you can have in your bank account, or they'll, like, stop it.
Right.
So it could be possible that they were, like, trying to keep as much cash as possible so they could
I was thinking that too, like,
yeah.
Also if, like, either one of them had taken odd jobs, because I know there's also only so much you can, like, make on disability without them taking it away.
Right. I think it's, like, you can only have, like, $2,000 in your bank account. If you have any more than that, they, like, stop your disability or something. Oh, my gosh. Which is crazy.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, it is. That's a whole nother thing, though.
Oh, yeah. Whole nother soapbox.
But, so that was kind of my thought, is, like, well, maybe they were putting back that, but, like, that's a lot to be able to put back.
Yeah, although, like,
but it depends on how long, if there was any sort of settlement from, like, the car accident, which their family was like, we don't know of anything like that. We don't know where they got this money.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and this, I mean, they were wanting to do the storage unit. Maybe that was, like, their savings for the storage unit.
Yeah, for the land for it, because they were needing to buy 40 acres, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was just, like, nobody really knew where it came from, so
yeah, and
that was
you
kind
take
of a
that
red
with
flag.
you that day if you're just visiting it, if you're not trying to buy that day.
If you're not, like, going to purchase it.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, it was just, and it was, like, stashed underneath, it was, like, very hidden in the car. It was, like, stashed underneath the driver's seat. Like, I read somewhere that it was, like, hidden underneath some of his tools, like, like, very hidden. So, that was a little bit
Which, like, I get, like, if you're gonna have that much money in a car, you're gonna hide it.
Yeah.
But I don't understand why you would have it with you unless you're planning on buying that day. Otherwise, you're going to hide it in your house.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, there were just some very strange things weird. Found. So they reported that the couple had both lost weight before their disappearance, which could also point to drug use. However, Sherry Lynn's mother said that she lost the weight because she was depressed after her sister died a couple of years before, when she was stung on the tongue by a bee and it caused her throat to swell instantly.
Oh my gosh.
So I now have a new fear, because that's, like, insane and terrifying.
Oh my gosh.
Like, I read that and I was like, wait, what?
That reminds me of, okay, spoiler alert for Bridgerton season 2.
I haven't watched it.
Okay, never mind.
I watched like one episode, I think.
And it wasn't the first episode?
I don't know.
Okay, girl, you need to watch Bridgerton season 2.
Okay, I'll watch Bridgerton season 2.
I thought you would have already watched it by now.
I'm sorry.
You're always the one that's watched things before I have.
I've been really bad about it lately. There's just too many shows to watch.
Okay, okay, get on it.
Okay, I will. But anyway, that's what happened. And
Okay.
so that's, her mom said that she was really, like, depressed from that, and that's why she had lost so much weight.
Okay, that would make sense.
I get it. And apparently her sister was, like, her best friend. Like,
yeah.
And it was just, that's so, like, sudden and traumatic.
Yeah.
Like, I understand that, but...
Got stung on the tongue by a bee.
Stung on the tongue by a bee.
Okay, random side note about bees. I've always wondered, like, you know how people are, like, severely allergic to bees and die, obviously, from that. I've always wanted to, like, get stung by a bee, just, like, when I'm close, like, in town, you know, not like, on a hike, because I do so much hiking.
Right.
I'm like, I almost want to be stung by a bee, just so I know if I'm allergic and can get
that's a
help
good point.
quickly
That's a
versus,
good
like,
point.
sometime when I'm hiking miles out.
You could probably, like, get allergy tested specifically for that, I would think.
I probably should, because
That would probably be good to know.
I'm like, I'm 28 years old. I've never been stung by a bee, but I'm like, what if it happens and I'm, like, 5 miles out on a trail?
Or it's on your tongue.
Yeah.
And your throat closes immediately.
Yeah.
That's like, I read that and I was like, I have a new fear.
Well, keeping my mouth closed around bees forever and all
Yeah,
this.
I know. I'm like, I didn't know I had to be scared about that, but now I am.
Yeah. I've heard of people being stung in their mouth, though, before, because, like, they'll be outside and a bee will go in their pop, like their can of pop.
Oh, yeah. I wonder if that's what happened.
I wonder if that's what happened, too, because they'll, like, go to take a drink and the bee will have been inside and it goes in their mouth and stings them.
That's awful.
I haven't heard of somebody dying from that before, but...
Yeah, I know. I know. I read that in an article and I was like, wait, why are we not talking about this more? Like,
yeah.
There's so many crazy things about this case that I was, like, seeing multiple places, and then I came across that one and I was like, what? Like,
that's insane.
Even the little, like, side notes about things are crazy.
Yeah.
Just insane. So anyway, that's what her mom said.
About the weight loss. Okay.
Yeah. And then another bizarre twist in the case happened when a local pastor came forward with information.
Okay.
So Pastor Gary Brandon told investigators that Bobby had told him that he had seen 2 to 4 spirits on the roof of their home.
Okay.
On a separate occasion, Sherry Lynn told Pastor Brandon that she believed she had the power to exorcise the demons and that little Madison had seen the spirits inside the house too.
Okay.
Oh, there's more about it, like, later on when I kind of get into the theories. Like, there's more about that stuff.
All right.
Sherry Lynn had reportedly gotten a satanic Bible as a joke, is what she said. And then Bobby had told Pastor Brandon that he was reading a satanic Bible and was seeking special bullets to do battle with spirits.
Okay. Just for future reference, I don't ever want a satanic Bible for a joke gift.
Yeah, same. Please don't get me that.
Okay.
I'm like, why is that a joke? Like, what?
Yeah.
Haha, you have a satanic Bible. It's so funny.
So
hilarious.
Funny. I
don't get the joke.
Cackling with laughter.
Yeah, I don't understand. Anyway, nobody send us a satanic Bible, please.
Please don't.
So, I'm going to kind of get into the theories, because that's really, we never found out what happened to them.
Yeah.
Like, they found the bodies, no idea how they died, like, we don't have a cause of death, we don't have anything.
Wow.
Like, they just disappeared, and then their bodies turned up 4 years later.
That's so crazy.
So, pretty insane. So the theories. There's quite a few of them.
I'm ready.
And they just get crazier.
All right.
Okay.
Hit us with them. So,
one theory is that the family simply got lost and died of hypothermia.
Okay, that is possible.
It's possible, although I think the low around that time, the lowest temperature it got was like 40 degrees.
Which you can still...
Which is cold.
Yeah.
But...
there's people that have died from hypothermia in, like, higher temperatures than that because...
Yeah.
Like, if your body temperature, like, system just gets out of sorts. Like, I know there was a story one time, I don't know where it happened, where it was, or... I know the family was found 1 mile from their car, and they had died from the elements.
Okay.
Because they weren't prepared.
Right.
And so if for whatever reason they decided to, oh, well, let's just go hike out for a little bit, and they left all their stuff in the car.
Yeah.
And they got turned around or whatever, like, I could see that.
Okay. But I don't think it was that.
I mean, the likelihood of it is small, but I do get that it is a possibility. Yeah.
Yes. So I literally said, I don't think this is what happened. Like, my notes in my next sentence is, I don't think this is what happened.
Well, especially because, like, no phones. Like, I mean, exactly. If the phones are in the truck, like, even if you are just going to go for, like, a short hike, you take your phone.
Yeah.
Like,
also, they had $32,000 of cash and their dog in the car.
Yeah.
I don't feel like they're going to be like, let's go hike for 3 miles and leave $32,000 in the car.
Right. No.
So it's just like doesn't, and their wallets, like,
yeah,
everything was just in the car.
Yeah.
Other than her gun.
Yeah.
So anyway, strange.
Sense,
yeah. So another theory is that it was a murder-suicide. Okay. Because another item that was found in the truck was an angry 11-page letter from Sherry Lynn to Bobby.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. One sentence in the letter stated, quote, I would not wish my daughter to be raised in foster care because of you being in prison for attempted murder and her mother dead.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Yeah. So, and really the murder-suicide could have gone either way.
Yeah.
Like, it could have been either of them that did it. It could have been, like, her doing it. She had some kind of erratic behavior. Like, she had, at one point, like, driven her mom to Oklahoma City and then just been like, get out of my car.
Oh my gosh.
And just, like, left. Like, there was a lot of, like, strange behavior. Okay. So, like, it could have been that.
Yeah.
So, who knows? It also could have been maybe he found the letter and it set him off. Like, I don't really know, but
or he didn't get those special bullets for the spirits.
Apparently. Yeah. Whew. But that is one theory, is that it could have been a murder-suicide.
Okay.
The next theory is that the family was murdered by Bobby's father, Bob Dean Jamison.
Okay.
Yeah. So Bobby was in the process of suing his father at the time of the family's disappearance. He was suing his father because he worked sometimes at his father's gas station, I believe it was.
Uh-huh.
And he had been promised half of the sales, but was never paid.
Okay. I can see being upset about that.
Yeah. And then
always get it in writing.
Yeah, for sure. Even with family, apparently.
Even with family.
About 6 months before their disappearance, Bobby had filed a protective order against his father, stating that he had threatened to kill Bobby and his family on 2 separate occasions, in November 2008 and April 2009. Although he did not detail how the threats were made, he did write that Bob had hit him with his vehicle on November 1st, 2008. So, there's some violence there. He also wrote that Bob, quote, was a very dangerous man who thinks he is above the law.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
He also stated that Bob was involved with prostitutes, gangs, and meth.
Sounds like a delightful man.
Mm-hmm. There were also theories that Bob had ties to the Mexican mafia.
Okay.
So, saw that, thought I'd throw that in there. There's just so much happening in this story.
I see what you mean now.
Yeah, it's just all over the place.
Golly.
And then a quick note about the family.
Okay.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. They have been described as scammers by Sheriff Beecham.
Okay.
They had sued 3 people in 2005 when they were in a car accident.
Nice.
And they reportedly were either suing or planning to sue the school district their daughter was in.
Oh, lovely, of course.
So, just, like, suing everybody all over the place.
Yeah. Yeah,
so
that's not a good look.
Just, like, a lot of questionable things. Even the sheriff was like, yeah, they're scammers. So,
yeah, that's not a good look.
That's not a great thing when the sheriff knows that.
Little sus.
Little sus. So, there's that theory that it might have been Bobby's father. However, he was, like, in the hospital or something during the time. And then some people were like, well, he could have put a hit out on him. And I guess if he was involved in the mafia or something, he could have, yeah.
Yeah.
But he was, like, not in good health and, like, in the hospital. He died, I don't remember how soon after, but, like, relatively soon after he ended up dying. So, like, most likely not, but, like, who knows? I mean, if he had connections, then maybe, yeah.
It's possible.
It's possible. Anything's possible,
Anything's possible with this family.
Yeah, it's insane. So another theory is that it was a drug deal gone wrong. Meth was extremely popular in that area during the time.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
As it is all over Oklahoma.
And all the places in Oklahoma. What part of Oklahoma is it not popular in?
Right, I know. I read that and I was like, well, obviously.
Obviously it's Oklahoma.
With many meth labs scattered around the secluded area. So,
but it's a lovely place, guys.
It's a lovely place. It really is. Oklahoma's beautiful. But just, like, avoid the meth labs if you can.
If you can, yeah.
Multiple pieces of evidence seem to point toward this theory, including their strange behavior on the security footage, the large amount of cash found in the car, and reports that the adults had lost a significant amount of weight before their disappearance. However, there were no drugs, drug paraphernalia, or any other solid evidence of drug use to support the theory. So, which is strange because, like, if you're using drugs, there's going to be evidence of it in your car or in your home. Like,
somewhere.
It's going to be there.
One of those two places it's going to be.
And because that was such a big theory, like, multiple people being like, oh, it was probably a drug deal. Like, you know, they searched really carefully
searched hard.
For that.
I'm sure they brought in dogs for that. And,
yeah. Oh, yeah. So they would have found something. So there was that. And then I also saw in multiple articles, they were being like, yeah, I mean, it could have been a drug deal, but, like, why would they have brought their 6-year-old daughter to a drug deal? And I was like, you guys don't know how this works, do you?
You sweet people.
You sweet, naive people. They always bring the kids to the drug deals.
Bring the kids. Why would they not?
Why would they not bring their 6-year-old to a drug deal?
And they'd have to find care for them. Are you kidding me?
Exactly. Yeah. So, plus they can use the kid to help hide the drugs. Like,
exactly.
They're going to put the drugs in the kid's backpack or under the kid's seat in the car. Like,
yeah. Or if they get stopped, they're going to use the kid as an excuse for something. Like,
yeah. Or think that they're going to go easier on them if they have the kid. Like,
right.
Yeah. So it was just so funny to read those because I was like, oh, man. As someone who previously worked in child welfare, I promise the child will not stop them from going to a drug deal if it was that.
No,
so,
absolutely not.
I just wanted to throw that in there because I was like, that's funny that you think that would stop anyone.
I wish that was the case.
I wish that was the case, but it's not.
It's definitely not. No. Hence why we've got a lot of kids with issues in schools.
Exactly. Yeah. So anyway, I was like, oh, that's not going to stop them. So also a possibility. It was also said that, like, even if it wasn't them doing the drug deal, there's the possibility that they saw something they shouldn't have, stumbled onto a drug deal or to a meth lab or something like that and just got killed for, like, being in the wrong place. Yeah. So that's also possible. It still could have been drug-related without being, like, directly drug-related
like they were using. Yeah, it could have been that they saw something if they were out looking on property. Right. That's very possible. Yeah. So
it still could have been, like, a drug deal gone wrong, but, like, not with them involved. Like, yeah. So, the next theory, are you ready for this?
I'm ready.
Okay. The next theory is that the Jamisons were murdered by a cult.
Okay, all right.
Sherry Lynn's mother, Connie, believes this theory.
Okay.
Yeah. Connie said that Sherry Lynn was on a hit list maintained by an unnamed religious cult operating in southeast Oklahoma.
Okay, unnamed. All right. Okay.
Connie stated that there are several major cults operating in the mountains there.
All right.
Sherry Lynn had been reported to have an interest in witchcraft, having purchased a satanic Bible. Not that that necessarily has to be related to the cult, but that's just, it was all kind of listed together. There was also strange graffiti found on the storage container at the Jamisons' house, because they already had the storage container and they were going to move it to the land. Okay. So, like, they already had one. So the graffiti said, quote, 3 cats killed to date by people in this area. Witches don't like their black cat killed.
Okay.
It's just strangely, like, cryptic, but also, like, what?
What? Yeah.
And her one of her friends had, like, said that she had her cats being poisoned by neighbors recently, and she put that on the storage container as a warning to them.
Well, yeah, and I can see that. Like, sometimes, I mean, people will say weird things just to freak out their neighbors if their neighbors are doing stuff to them. Like,
right. But also, like, why would you spray paint that on your own storage container that you're going to live in? Yeah. That just doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
It doesn't.
Put up a sign with it or something. Right. But I don't know. It's just weird. And they didn't,
unless they were going to paint over it anyways, like.
Maybe so, yeah.
Yeah.
It was just like another little odd thing.
That is weird.
Yeah. Wow. Witches don't like their black cat killed.
Yeah. All right. Good to know.
So an article came out in the Oklahoman in 1993, which reassured the public that there was not significant cult activity here, because I think that was, like, right around Waco, right? Wasn't that? around the time of Waco.
I don't remember.
I think it was. So I think that's why they published it, to be like, there's no cults here, we're good.
We're good.
However, it was admitted in the article that a few cults had sprung up around eastern Oklahoma, but there hadn't been any activity in a couple of years. Okay. So they're like, there's no cults. I mean, there's a few, but it's fine.
But it's fine, we're good.
We're good. So it was just funny, because I was like, they're literally releasing an article to be like, it's fine, you guys, there's no cults, we're good. But then in the article, they're like, well, a few are here, but
yeah,
it's okay.
Wow.
Yeah. So after Investigation Discovery aired a special on the Jamison family on the show Disappeared, which I haven't watched, but I need to watch it. It sounds like it will be pretty good.
A good thing to watch.
Yeah.
This is an interesting case.
Yeah. So after that aired, Sherry Lynn's close friend, Nikki, said that she received a phone call from an anonymous woman. The woman reportedly told Nikki that she'd once been in a white supremacy group that kept a book containing a list of people who'd been problems for them. Sometimes, this woman claimed, if she could remember one of the names she had seen, she'd go home and look it up on the internet. This had led her to multiple missing persons cases, including Sherry Lynn and Bobby Jamison.
Okay.
Yeah. The Jamisons were said to have rented out a room to a man in their house, but then kicked him out after he repeatedly made racial slurs and talked about white supremacy, and the Jamisons discovered he was a member of the United White Knights.
Oh, yeah.
So,
yeah.
So it could have been, like, cults, like, witchcrafty, like, not that witchcraft is, like, bad in and of itself, you know, but,
right.
like, cults, like, that sort of, like, satanic cult or something, or it could have been, like, white supremacy group, like, there's just a lot of directions it could have gone, and it wasn't clear, like, there were just so many ways it could have gone.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So another theory is some sort of, like, demonic possession, which could explain, like, the strange behavior in the tape. Like, if it wasn't drugs, they could have been possessed.
Yeah.
So Sherry Lynn's best friend, Nikki, said, this is a long quote, she was interested in witches. We both were. Years before, we bought matching witches' Bibles. We put them on our coffee tables as a bit of a joke. That's what the police found. But in all seriousness, that house was haunted. I don't want to sound crazy, but whenever I went there, I felt a horrible presence. I would leave feeling so down and depressed, it's hard to describe. Once I was in the living room, and this sort of gray mist descended down the stairs. It really scared me. She told me on a couple of occasions, Bobby, who was such a gentleman, would suddenly come at her, and his eyes would be completely dead and black, like he was possessed.
Oh my goodness.
Mm-hmm. Sherry Lynn would leave notes around the house saying, "Get out, Satan," and stuff like that. It was her way of dealing with things.
Oh my gosh.
So that's what her friend said.
Okay.
Yeah, so then there's, like, all of that stuff, too.
Oh my gosh.
Sherry Lynn believed that the house was haunted by a long-dead family and said that Madison would talk to the youngest ghost child.
Oh, okay. Well, that's
a demon.
That's a demon.
Yeah.
That's
a demon. Mm-hmm. So Sherry Lynn and Bobby were so concerned with the spirits that they went to their pastor multiple times, which is how he knew all of the things that he told the police. Their pastor stated that they were involved in, quote, spiritual warfare.
Okay.
Sherry Lynn was trying to discover why the house was so haunted and had been trying to find out if it was built on an old Indian burial ground. Bobby was so concerned that he asked the pastor about getting special bullets to shoot the spirits. So, just a lot going on with this family.
Wow.
Like, so many directions that it could go.
Golly.
Another odd thing about this case is that the truck was found directly on the 35th degree latitude, aka the line of tragedy.
Bum, bum.
Yeah. So,
okay.
For those who don't know, do you know? I feel like we've talked about this before. Okay.
Yeah.
So the line of tragedy is right along, like, the 35th degree of latitude, and a whole string of brutal murders have occurred. So some other cases on the line of tragedy include Andrea Pia Kennedy Yates, a woman suffering from postpartum depression and postpartum psychosis, who on June 20th, 2001, murdered all 5 of her children by drowning them in the bathtub.
Yep.
So, which I will say, that was in Houston, so I'm not sure how wide a band they're, like, including for the 35th degree line, because I was looking at literally the actual line, which is like, of course, right by my house, the actual line.
Yeah.
But they include like Oklahoma City in that. They included Houston. I don't know if it's like a pretty big band of like anything within that 35th degree.
Maybe.
I was including, like, I was only counting like the actual line. I was looking at the actual line.
Yeah.
Which is, of course, like,
yeah,
right by, you know, our town and everything.
Yeah,
of course. But yeah,
wow.
I don't know, but I'm just including all of these that were listed under, like, tragedies on this line, because I think they must kind of cast, like, a wide area for it. Like it. Yeah. And then another is the horrific murder of Pastor Carol Daniels, which I might end up covering, because it's pretty crazy.
Okay.
Her mutilated corpse was found propped up behind the church altar in a crucifix position.
Oh, my gosh.
A murder that was widely believed to be tied to satanic activity. At the time, it was such a sadistic and brutal crime that District Attorney Brett Burns and several law enforcement officers involved with the case said it was the most horrible crime they had ever seen.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And that was also in Oklahoma. So
nice.
Yeah.
Great.
So might do that soon. And then along this line was also where Timothy McVeigh carried out the bombing of the Murrah building in Oklahoma, which killed 168 people and injured nearly 700 others.
Yeah.
So a lot of not great things have happened along that line.
Yes. Pretty tragic.
Okay, so another kind of weird thing about this case is that there have been some cases that are really similar to this one.
Okay.
So there's another case involving Tommy Raymond Estep, who was also last seen in Eufaula.
Okay.
He had gone to Lake Eufaula. He was last seen on July 7th, 2013, and then his abandoned and locked truck was found in the woods near Holdenville, though, so it was like kind of far out.
Yeah.
But it was found like a couple months later. And
That's
then
weird.
His remains were found 4 years after he disappeared. And they were found near the recovery site of the truck.
Okay, that's weird.
So there's a lot of really strange parallels of like the truck was found the same way. It was found just abandoned and locked.
Yeah.
It doesn't say that anything was missing from it. I don't know if it was, but if it was locked back, then probably not.
Probably not.
He was last seen in Eufaula. Then his truck was found later, abandoned and locked. And then his remains were found very close to the truck 4 years later, exactly like this other family. So,
ooh, that's creepy.
Yeah, so, and that also was found on the 35th degree line.
Dang.
So, there's just some very, very strange things.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Okay, and then another one that is pretty similar, not quite as similar as the other one, but still pretty similar, is Peggy McGuire. She was last seen on November 16th, 2015, dropping her son off at school outside Eufaula.
Okay.
And then nobody heard from her after that. She had spoken to her stepfather while on her way home, but then nobody heard from her. Like, she never made it home, and her truck was found abandoned a couple days later. However, they have not found out anything about her or any remains or anything like that, so it doesn't have like the creepy 4 year later element,
yeah.
Unless they just haven't found anything. I mean, hopefully she's like alive and out there,
right?
But that's also kind of a weird, like, oh, somebody disappeared from Eufaula again and the vehicle is abandoned.
Wow, that's really weird.
There's quite a few. That's very strange.
That's really weird. That's creepy.
Yeah. So I had some, like, there are just like a lot of things that don't add up about this case.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, it just goes in all different directions. So I literally made like a section of like strange questions, like what is happening.
Yeah.
So apparently Sherry Lynn had an older son named Colton.
Okay.
He was rarely mentioned in any articles that I could find. I think I found like one that talked about him, and he was probably like 15 at the time. I think they said he was 19 around the time the article came out, which was like around the time of like their kind of funerals and stuff after they found the remains. So he would have been about 15 at the time, I believe. I'm not totally sure.
Okay.
And he had been living with them, but he left and moved in with his father before the disappearance.
Okay.
And then another thing that doesn't really add up is, why would they want to move into a storage container on a rugged mountain? They were looking at land on a mountain. Like, if Bobby had such serious back problems that, like, he couldn't work and, like, was on a lot of, like, pain meds, and it was really, really hard for him.
Yeah.
So why would they want to move into a storage container on a rugged mountain?
Yeah.
They're going to have to finish out that container. Like,
that's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work for somebody who has, like, chronic pain.
Yeah.
So that doesn't really add up either. And then I also read that Colton, the son, like Sherry Lynn's older son, didn't know anything about, like, the storage container plan. So, like, why would he not know about that if that was the plan?
Right.
It's just...
That's his family. Wow. Okay, that's weird.
It's just very odd. There are just so many different things that don't add up.
I wasn't even thinking about the mountain part for the storage unit. I was
no, at first I was just like, oh, yeah, that makes sense.
That makes sense. Okay,
yeah. People do that all the time, whatever.
Yeah.
But then you dig into it, and it's like, okay, well, they were both on disability. And his was, I don't know exactly what hers was for, but his was for, like, a physical pain issue.
Right.
I mean, how are you going to live on a rugged mountain in a tiny home?
Yeah, no.
That's not going to work. So, which maybe it was just, like, wishful thinking, like, wanting to do that.
Right.
Maybe it was a cover-up for something else. Like, there's so many ways it could go.
Wow.
So those are kind of some of my unanswered questions.
Yeah.
I mean, I have many, but those were a few things that I, like, saw. I actually saw on Reddit, like, somebody was like, I have questions. And I was like, oh, me too.
I do too.
There's so many questions.
Wow.
So.
Crazy case.
Yeah, and, like, I didn't even find out about Colton, the son, until I saw somebody on Reddit talking about him. And I was like, who is that? So I had to, like, dig to find anything about him.
Jeez, that's weird that you don't, like, that's not mentioned.
It's very strange.
Okay.
Yep.
So you would think they'd be like, oh, survived by...
Right. Which I didn't read the obituary or anything, but...
But, like, even in the news articles, a lot of times they'll mention, like, you know...
Yeah,
this person was killed but survived by these
very
people.
odd, yeah.
Wow.
So that is the story of the Jamison family disappearance.
Wow. Well done. That was a crazy story.
Thank you. It was absolutely insane.
Wow. All right. Well, you ready for my case?
Oh, I'm so ready. I'm so excited.
Okay. So my case is about the prison escape of Claude Dennis and Michael Lancaster.
Okay.
I
haven't heard of this.
So I actually heard about this from my mom. She remembers this happening. So this took place in 1978. So she was in high school, I believe. She was born 19... I don't know if I should say.
She's going to be mad at you.
She's 19... and anyways, so she, I believe, was in high school at this time. Okay, so the sources I used was the Oklahoman, the New York Times, and the Charlie Project.
Okay.
So on April 23rd, 1978, Claude Eugene Dennis and Michael Charles Lancaster started a 34-day manhunt across 4 states that turned into 8 deaths, and it ended with a bloody shootout.
Oh my goodness, how have I not heard about this?
Yeah. So, Lancaster was 25, and he was in prison for armed robbery. He was supposed to serve 25 years.
Okay.
Dennis, he was 35 years old, and he was in prison serving 50 years for killing 3 people.
Yikes. Only 50 years?
Yeah, that's what I thought too. But yeah, 3
Ridiculous.
people serving 50 years. So on April 23rd, they escaped by tunneling under a prison wall at the Oklahoma State Penitentiary in McAlester.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So this is in Pittsburgh County, Oklahoma. They fled to a nearby home of a prison guard, where they then took food, guns, ammunition, and the yellow Datsun truck that the family owned.
Wait, was the prison guard in on it? Or if they went to his house?
So I'm not for sure. Okay. We'll circle back to that.
Okay.
So his wife and daughter were home, but thankfully they did not hurt them. Again, we'll swing back to that.
Okay. If they murdered 8 people. Okay.
Yep,
anyway.
We'll swing back to that.
Okay.
So, for the next 2 weeks, officials had no idea where they went. They couldn't find the car or the men. Reported sightings came in, but they always turned out to be false. Okay. So they had no idea where those 2 men were. It would be after more than a month after the shootout, that authorities would tie a string of burglaries near the Texas border to these two men.
Okay.
Which I've got to say, the first burglar, I'm like, how'd you not tie it to them?
Sometimes it seems so obvious that you're like, you guys.
mean, I know the hindsight is 2020, right. But like, really?
Yeah.
So the things that were taken in these burglaries were pillowcases, lunch meat, bread, firearms, ammunition. I'm assuming the pillowcases were to put the things in.
Okay, I was like, why?
At first when I read that, I was like, what? And then I was like, oh, I bet it's like that's what they use to hold the things versus like, paper sacks sense. Or plastic sacks.
Like, why not steal the pillows too? Like, why only the pillowcases?
I'm thinking that was probably
the most confusing part to me.
I'm thinking that was the thing that was easiest to find versus like looking for bags and closets and stuff. Like, yes,
pillowcases are strong and they hold a lot. So.
Yeah. Makes sense. So that's what I'm assuming.
Okay. It's a random thing to even have on the list, honestly. Like, I wouldn't have even have listed it if it was just used to carry other things.
I know.
Like, it's a pillowcase.
I mean, technically, yes, it was also stolen, but like...
But also, it's a pillowcase.
It's a pillowcase.
Like, just go get a new one at Walmart. It's fine.
So the first of the robberies took place in Silo, Oklahoma.
Oh, my aunt and uncle used to live there.
Oh, really?
Yeah, actually they lived, sorry, like
you're good.
Going off. They used to live in Silo, right across from a barn, like a farmhouse with a barn that Bonnie and Clyde hid out in when they were on the run. They hid out in that barn right across from my aunt and uncle's house.
Dang, well, barns will come up in this too.
Ooh, okay.
So, the reason I say that I feel like it should have been a little bit obvious that they were the ones doing these robberies is the first place they hit was the house of Dennis's brother-in-law.
Oh. And they didn't connect that?
Not until over a month after the shootout.
Are you serious?
I'm serious.
Wait, was the brother-in-law okay, or did he come
No, he's fine. Okay. So no deaths has
So
happened
he
yet.
didn't think like, oh, I bet that's who it was? Or was he in on it? I guess not if it was stolen.
If he was in on it, I didn't see anything that talked about him being in on it.
Well, and I guess if it was reported as a burglary, like if he was stealing from him, he wouldn't have been in on it.
Yeah.
Okay. Can't believe they didn't connect that. My goodness.
Yeah, so there were just like a string of robberies. I think they went kind of like up and down the like Texas-Oklahoma border, robbing places for that 2 weeks, making it on the stuff that they stole. But then the pair changed course and they go south into Texas and down a path of violence. Things escalate pretty quickly from here. On May 2nd, the body of 31-year-old Mithil Matthew shows up. He was a gas station attendant in Garland, Texas. They robbed him of $100 and shot him multiple times, killing him.
For $100?
For $100.
That's ridiculous. I mean, don't kill people for any amount of money. I should say that, but like $100.
Yeah. Then on May 5th, so this is now 3 days later, 57-year-old James Dowdy went missing from Hemp Hill, Texas. He was a former railroad worker who lived near the Texas-Louisiana state line. 4 weeks later, his body was found in a garbage dump. He had died from a gunshot wound to the head. And they also took his truck.
Okay.
On May 10th, sheriff's deputies went that night to Rogers Superette in Denison, Texas, and found Bobby Spencer, the owner of the bait shop, dead. He had been shot in the back of the head with a sawed-off shotgun.
Ugh.
Dennis and Lancaster stopped there while they were driving the truck they stole from James Dowdy. They robbed the store. Trigger warning.
Oh.
They took Bobby Spencer to a back room and shot him. They then kidnapped his wife. Then they took her via raft down the Red River to a campsite.
Oh.
Yeah. Took her down the Red River by raft to their campsite along the Red River. Then they chained her to a tree and they raped her.
Awful.
However, she's a badass.
Okay.
And while they slept that night, she escaped, ran through the woods, found a highway, and flagged down a truck driver.
Okay.
And got help.
All right.
So
we love a strong woman.
Yeah. Survivor right there. So both Oklahoma and Texas highway patrols covered the area with roadblocks. So those who are not familiar with this kind of geography, Red River is the border between Texas and Oklahoma. So that's why both states are involved.
It is also a historically extremely high crime area.
Yes, very.
Like going back to outlaw days and stuff like that. Like, very high crime.
Yes. So while the highway patrol was setting up roadblocks, the escapees kidnapped a young boy from Denison, holding him hostage. However, after a short while, they let him go. Okay. They didn't harm him. They just let him go. Good. So, not sure how long they held him. Not sure why they let him go.
I'm glad they did.
Glad they did.
Do you know how old he was?
Don't know. It just, anything I saw said young boy. Okay. So I'm guessing he was a minor, so I'm guessing that's why
right.
we don't have a lot of information.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad he was okay, though.
Glad he was okay. So after the roadblocks stopped, they headed back to Oklahoma. On May 12th in Mills Creek, so this is Hughes County, they tried to break into a woman's house. This started another manhunt and more roadblocks. The same day in Roth, Oklahoma, so Pontotoc County.
Oh.
Yeah, they're
it's
everywhere.
Getting very close to home, too.
Yeah.
For us.
Authorities found a stolen truck behind a barn.
Okay.
The truck had been stolen from Denison, and a truck that should have been there at the barn was missing.
So they're relatively smart about it.
They're changing vehicles
regularly.
Pretty quick.
Yeah.
The escapees, who were now labeled as thrill killers by the local newspapers, were heading into Alabama and Mississippi.
Okay.
So they were on their way there.
Ooh, they're all over the place.
Yeah, they're all over. So on May 16th, they're not to Alabama and Mississippi yet. In a heavily wooded section of Collin County, Texas, so the eastern part of this county. So this county is like just north of like Dallas area.
Okay.
But it's on the eastern part of the county. The body, a body was found, and it belonged to that of 26-year-old David Bobo. He was a minister who had left his home in the Dallas area to go on a fishing trip 2 weeks prior.
Aww.
According to Paris News, this is Paris, Texas News.
Yes.
Not Paris, France.
Very different places.
Yes.
They do have an Eiffel Tower there, though.
do they really?
Oh, yeah. We went there on our beach trip because the girls wanted to take a picture in front of the Eiffel Tower.
Nice.
So I have a picture in front of the Eiffel Tower.
Very nice.
But only the Texas version.
Yeah. I haven't been to the actual version either.
Yeah, no.
So according to Paris News, his shoes, pants, wallet, and car were missing.
Okay.
The escapees were still heading east, and as they were passing through Butler, Alabama, they shot and wounded a police officer.
Ooh.
They also shot...
That escalates things quickly.
Yes. They also shot at an Alabama State Troopers vehicle, disabling it.
Oh.
This also started a manhunt in Alabama and Mississippi. So Butler, Alabama is like just off the line of Mississippi. So it's in Alabama, but it's not very far from Mississippi. I wish I had a map for all this.
Yeah, there's so many places.
On the 23rd of May, the body of 68-year-old Stacy Beavers was found by authorities. She was found in her home in Cuba, Alabama. Again, this is still right on the line of Mississippi and Alabama.
Okay.
Still in Alabama, though. She had been beaten and her throat had been slashed when she came home from going to a church social.
Oh, that's so sad.
Yeah.
That's so violent.
Yeah. The escapees took her yellow station wagon and they started to make their way back to Oklahoma.
Okay.
People in these areas were terrified that they would be next. People started moving in with their relatives so they weren't alone.
Yeah.
Other people who didn't typically keep guns around made sure that they had loaded guns with them at all times.
That's crazy.
My mom had told me this, and it was actually in the newspapers too. She remembers this because people around her area, so her area is not too far from like where some of the stuff has happened in Oklahoma, where she grew up. She grew up in Wapanucka. And so it's actually north of where the shootout ends up happening.
Ooh, okay.
So people in that area they knew that because Dennis was from that area, it was likely that he would return to that area. Mm-hmm. And so they were terrified. And because the fugitives keep stealing things from people and killing them, people in that area actually started to leave their cars unlocked with the keys in it and food and supplies in the cars, hoping that if they came by, they would take the vehicle and the supplies and leave them alone.
That's crazy. I mean, I guess it's a smart thing to do. Yeah,
because, I mean, that area is so rural.
Yeah.
Like, even if you called police, it might be 30 minutes before they get there.
Yeah.
So... yeah, a lot of people were doing that. They were leaving their keys in their cars. It was unlocked and leaving all sorts of food and stuff in it, hoping that they would just take it and go.
That's crazy.
On May 24th, state troopers flooded the area around Lake Texoma after this stolen vehicle that they had stolen from Stacy Beavers had been found or had been spotted along the Lake Texoma area.
Okay.
Again, they set up roadblocks. A large number of officers were assigned the area. Like, they brought in a lot of officers. And then the FBI joined in by sending in a tactical team as well as a helicopter to assist in the search.
Ooh, okay.
On May 25th, Highway Patrol had Lieutenant Hoyt Hughes and Lieutenant Pat Grimes, both of whom who worked with internal affairs, and troopers Houston Frank, known as Pappy Summers, and Billy G. Young go down to southern Oklahoma to help with the manhunt.
Okay.
On May 26th, that morning, the escapees headed to a farm north of Caddo. Dennis knew the farmer, so they tied him to a tree but didn't kill him.
Well, thank goodness for that.
And then stole his blue pickup truck. Apparently, the farmer, Russell Washington, had let Dennis hunt on his property in the past, so that's why he didn't kill him.
You know, okay.
I mean, a hunting buddy, the ties are strong.
That's true. Oh my goodness.
Once the escapees had driven away, that's when Washington called police. He was able to get out of the ties from the tree and call police. State troopers Young.
They're apparently not very good at tying people to trees.
No.
They keep escaping.
No, thank goodness for it. But they're not very good at it. They're good about changing vehicles, not so much with keeping somebody tied up. So state troopers Young and Summers, who were patrolling the area, saw the escapees in the pickup and followed them north to Kennefic.
Okay.
The escapees pulled over. They had noticed the troopers behind them. They pulled over at the top of a hill. They jumped over into the bed of the pickup truck, leveled the guns at the troopers, and opened fire. They killed both of the troopers.
Oh, awful. They were so close to being caught.
Yes. The escapees then stole the troopers' weapons before driving towards Caddo. According to Johnny Hammond, he was a reserve deputy in the Bryan County Sheriff's Office at the time, and he later became the chief of police. It was speculated that they were on their way to Dennis's wife's house. He had threatened to kill her and his kids, and it looked like he knew he was near the end of the line and was headed towards her. Oh, my goodness. So they just shot the troopers. They're on their way towards Caddo. A highway patrol airplane spotted the dust from the pickup driving down a dirt road and followed them into town. They were driving into town. As Dennis and Lancaster drove into town, they quickly pulled into a driveway, dashed out of the truck, and they hid in some bushes. Right on their tails, following them, were two troopers, Hughes and Grimes. They pulled up in an unmarked car. As soon as they pulled up, Dennis and Lancaster opened fire on the troops, killing Grimes. Hughes was wounded but still able to fire back on the fugitives with his pistol. He emptied the pistol and he grabbed the semi-automatic rifle out of Grimes' lap, so his dead partner's lap, and is able to kill Lancaster. He shoots him and kills him. So one's down. Dennis then stepped out from behind the bushes, going in for the kill on Hughes. At the same time, he didn't see Lieutenant Mike Williams pulling up the street. Lieutenant Williams attempts to run over Dennis, but misses. He then halts the vehicle and fires on Dennis, killing him. So after a 34-day manhunt that had spanned across 6 states, the fear that they had started ended.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
That is wild.
Yeah. It should have been, it needs to be a movie. I saw that there's a documentary. Investigation Discovery had a show called I Escaped, Real Prison Breaks. And so this is episode 9 of season 2, Trooper Tragedy is what it's called. I haven't watched it, but I saw that was on there. So after Hughes recovered, he continued to investigate the case, and he eventually helped convict a prison guard for aiding in the escape. It never said a name, so I'm assuming that the house they went to was the same of that guy.
I would think so.
Or the same, yeah.
Yeah, if they knew where to go.
If they didn't kill the wife and daughter and didn't do anything to them.
And they're obviously killing everybody else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It seems to me that it's probably the same one that helped him escape.
I would think so.
And I'm sorry, I don't know why he helped them escape, but I don't get that. Whether it's for money or for blackmail, like to help somebody escape prison.
Yeah.
When you know what they're in for.
Right.
I don't get that.
That's crazy.
Like,
I wonder if he, like, thought they were innocent or, like, wrongly convicted or something. Like,
maybe, but...
Which, I mean, obviously they probably weren't since they went on to do all these other terrible things.
Right.
But, I don't know. I can't imagine being like, sure, I'll help you escape prison.
Right. Exactly.
Especially somebody who, like, murdered 3 people.
Yeah. What? I don't get it. So 8 people total were killed because of Lancaster and Dennis. Or were there more?
Ooh, a mystery.
So, Oklahoma Highway Patrol Captain Ronnie Hampton. Okay, so at the time of the article that I read on the Oklahoman, it was 2017 when the article was written. So I'm not sure if he's still working as a highway patrol captain or not. I didn't check to see if he was still working with them. So at the time he was working with them, he studied the case, and he thinks that there's a 9th victim.
Oh, okay.
So the first car that they stole was a yellow Datsun. They stole it from the prison guard.
Right.
And they didn't know what happened to it at first. Eventually it was found in Gertie, Oklahoma, and they found it about a month after the manhunt was over. At that same time that the prisoners escaped, a man in Gertie went missing. So Kenneth Henry Sumner, he lived in Oklahoma City with his wife and had left to go on a trip to Gertie, where he and his wife kept horses and cattle on a ranch.
Okay.
That day, he saw a friend, and he told her that afternoon, "This is the last time you will ever see me."
Oh.
She didn't believe him because he was known to be a prankster. But his statement rang true because that was the last time he was ever seen.
Oh.
His truck and the 2 guns he kept with him were never recovered either. The Datsun was found behind a barn in a wooded area near Sumner's ranch.
Okay.
It's possible what he said to his friend was a warning that maybe the fugitives were in his truck outside.
Oh, okay. I was wondering because I was about to say, like, that sounds like suicide or something. Like, that sounds... Yeah. That doesn't sound like... I mean, how would he know? But if they were in the truck...
So it's possible that he told her that because the fugitives...
Right.
Already were in his truck.
Oh, that's awful. And he's just hoping she figures out...
the message. Yeah.
Oh, that's so sad.
So the only other theory that they have is that he could have been killed in a dispute with a neighbor over a fence line, but no, like, evidence. I know that seems super extreme over a fence line, which, I mean, granted, us Southerners get, like, really bent out of shape about a fence, but yeah. So to this day, his case remains unsolved.
Oh, interesting.
I saw another article that had said they had found, like, some bones in, like, Texoma that they were gonna compare his DNA to, but I didn't find any other articles about that.
Okay. Have you looked up just his name?
Yeah, because like I went to the Charlie Project, which is like a missing persons, and they have not, and it was updated in 2020, and that was after the article.
Okay, so it must not have been a match.
I don't think
they weren't able to
extract enough. But weeks after the escapees had died, somebody had found discarded prison clothes on the banks of Lake Texoma, and then they had found bones in Lake Texoma, and so they were going to try to figure out.
Yeah, that sounds possible, but also, I mean, imagine how many bones are in Lake Texoma.
Oh, yeah, there's probably...
even if that wasn't him.
Right.
He could still be in there, like...
So, yeah. So that is the prison escape of Claude Dennis and Michael Lancaster.
That is so wild.
Isn't that crazy?
That's really crazy. Also, all that stuff is like right around the 35th latitude.
Yeah. I didn't look to see where McAlester is on the like line.
Hold on. I got it. We'll see.
Not directly.
Not directly on, but pretty
close. Pretty close.
Really close. I think that's close enough.
I'd say that's
okay. Anyway, I just wanted to know that. I was just curious. I'll probably just edit all that out, but it's fine. I have a lot of editing to do, and 5 hours to do it, and a 45-minute drive home.
Do you want to do it here?
Maybe. I probably will.
Okay.
Okay. Anyway, I guess we should close out this episode.
All right. Well, great cases.
Yeah. Good job.
Good job to you.
Whew. Those were some wild ones.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't know so much crazy stuff happened in Oklahoma. I mean, I knew there was like, you know, the just regular fights and somebody gets killed or drugs and stuff like that, but
yeah, I mean, that happens all the time, but like
whew, these are crazy.
These are wild. I know we started this being like, we're gonna do ghost stories, and now I'm like, man, we should have done true crime mostly, because these are crazy, and there's so many.
There's so many.
Thank goodness. Yeah, thank goodness we decided to kind of do both.
Yeah.
These need to be shared too. They're wild.
They're good stories. All right. Well, I guess that's it for this episode.
Yeah. Thank you guys for listening. Follow us on Instagram.
Make sure to... Oh, yeah. Sorry. Go ahead.
At Spooky Okie Podcast.
Make sure to rate and review the podcast.
Yes, please. That helps us so much.
Yep. Whatever listening platform you're on, rate and review us. Share it to your friends.
Please do.
And then support us on Patreon and get some spooky content.
We are so excited. We just bought a video camera, and we're going to start recording, like videoing all of our investigations, but that will only be available to our Patreon supporters.
Yes.
So, give us a couple dollars a month and you can watch our videos.
Exactly.
We don't ask for a lot.
No, we're not greedy.
We're not. So anyway, thank you guys.
Thanks, guys. Take care, y'all.
Take care, y'all.